this event on time tonight. Good evening, and welcome to our candidate forum. It's really good to see such a nice crowd, and that's a credit to all of you. It shows that you care about your community. You're obviously engaged voters, and I bet that every one of you will be at the polls on November 5th if you're not going to vote early. And I know that you want to be informed voters, and hopefully tonight's event can help you with that. My name is Veronica Van Dress. I am the editor of The Independent, your proud hometown newspaper. Co-hosting this event with me tonight are our partners, the Canton Repository, and also the League of Women Voters of the Canton area. Representing the repository is Rich DeRoser. He's the executive editor. And representing the League of Women Voters is Amy Schreiber-Drucy. They're sitting at the table over there. They will join me as a panel that will hopefully be able to ask some questions at the end of the night if we keep this thing moving. You were given index cards when you came in, if you wanted one. That's so that you can write questions if you have anything or if something pops in your head as the evening goes along. Please feel free to write down a question and then hold that index card in the air. And some of the League of Women Voters volunteers will be around to pick up those index cards, and they'll get them up here to the panel. And we'll try to get in as many questions as we can. To our candidates tonight, welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming tonight. It's not easy to run for public office, and we should respect and appreciate the fact that people are willing to step forward and be in the public eye. You're under public scrutiny all of the time, and that's not an easy thing. So we thank you for running for elected office. We ask you tonight to remember that this is not a debate. This is a candidate forum, and we want everyone to be able to present their goals, their ideas for making Massillon a better city, for making our schools better, and address issues that our community is undertaking and how you will help make Massillon a better city. With that, I would say let's keep it clean, let's keep it courteous, please no personal attacks, and let's all have a good evening. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Dick Kuhn. Dick is a Canton attorney. He has moderated some events for us in the past, candidates nights and candidate forums. We thank him for being here tonight. We also want to thank the Lions Lincoln Theater for allowing us to use this beautiful and historic venue. Let's get started.
Thank you. You failed to mention I'm on the board of the League of Women Voters too. I'm a minority member, so I appreciate that. What we're going to do, folks, once again, I want to reiterate, thank you very much, candidates. Take your time to come here and inform the voters. That's obviously with the league, the representatives from the newspaper, they want you to do that also. And this is the only place you can go where you can get the word out directly and the audience can come and ask questions. And I think it's real important, but it also takes a lot of guts to come up here too, and I think we all appreciate you doing that. As you mentioned before we started, what we're going to do is we're going to have each of you come up. We're going to go by the different races. You'll come up. We've allotted 3 minutes, but we prefer to keep it closer to 2 if you can, and tell us why people should vote for you. We have our timers here. They'll give you how much time you have left, and then they'll give you the high sign to step back and let the next person speak. We don't have any real bouncers here. We don't have a hook, but please, I appreciate you following the directions of the timers. I'd also like to take a minute to mention the League of Women Voters. It's nonpartisan. We do not endorse candidates or anybody's campaigns. We are generally neutral, even though it may say women voters. We always encourage membership from male. You'll see out there not only the literature from the candidates, but you'll also see something there. Our voters guide, I presume, is out there, and maybe some information about the league. We certainly welcome people to get involved and become members, because this is really the only shot you have getting this great school. We don't endorse candidates, whereas the newspapers oftentimes do. So we have no vested interest. We want to help people what's going on as fairly as we can do it. Okay, with that, we will get started. I failed to draw straws to see who was going to go first. So this list that I have here is arbitrarily picked as far as the different candidates. And we're going to start out with the Municipal Court Judge candidate. And the first one listed here was Joel Fichter. So Joel, if you come up and tell the folks why they should go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Cody.
Okay.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the repository that you created. My name is Joel Fichter. As he said, I'm running for Massillon Municipal Court Judge. It's a nonpartisan race. I am a Democrat. I'm 60 years old. I've been a resident of Western Stark County all 60 years. I graduated from Washington High School in 1977, Bowling Green State University in 1981, and the University of Akron School of Law in 1984. After that, I went to work in private practice. I worked for a law firm for 21 years, and then I went out on my own for 3 years, where I practiced in the Massillon, Canton, Alliance Municipal Courts, as well as the Stark County Common Pleas Courts and other common pleas courts in the area, where I was involved in literally thousands of cases, both civil and criminal. So I have a lot of experience as a lawyer. I have 24 years of experience as a lawyer before I became a magistrate, which was nearly 12 years ago. So I have nearly 12 years of experience on the bench. I've been a magistrate at the Mass Municipal Court. I was appointed by Judge Edward Elam, as well as Judge Roland Centrone, where I hear, every day I'm on the bench, every day I hear criminal cases. In the morning, I hear traffic cases, I hear civil cases, small claims. Literally we counted, I know it's way more than 70,000 cases that I've handled while wearing a robe. I do have the experience. I'm 36 years as a lawyer, 35 and a half years I should say. And I've got nearly 36 years of experience in the practice of law, as well as being a magistrate, where I see the problems that we have on a daily basis. A couple of things. Number one, recently, and if somebody's showing me a sign that the lights are so bright I can't see it. Recently, the Stark County Bar Association Judiciary Committee, which is made up of 21 members, it's a bipartisan committee that they interview the candidates, and they you fill out questionnaires and they interview you. And after being interviewed, I was the only candidate that is running for this race that was recommended by the Judiciary Committee of the Stark County Bar Association. So I think that is something that is certainly noteworthy. On a personal note, I'm one of 8 children. My mother's in the audience, and most of my brothers and sisters still live in the area. I've been married to my wife, Christine, for 28 years. She's somewhere out there, and we have 3 children. I'm a Western Stark County fella, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. People have said things about why you want to stay here. I'm going to die here in Western Stark County. I love it. And I only have a few seconds left, but as far as goals, my goal as a judge would be the same as for being a magistrate, which is every day to be fair and impartial. I don't look at people as a Democrat or Republican. When I sentence somebody or make a decision, and I've made thousands and thousands of decisions, I've never asked before I make that decision, are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm fair and impartial. Thank you.
And they tell me they're having trouble hearing, so if you keep close to the mic, Andy, make sure everybody hears you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. I know all of you, like me, care about our community. My goal has always been to hold individuals accountable and responsible and to keep our community safe. Because I've raised my family here. I'm born and raised here in Stark County. I volunteer my time here. I dedicate myself to serving our community. I have. For over 24 years, I've had a private practice here in Stark County. So why am I qualified to be your municipal court judge? Because for 10 years, I've worked for Stark County, some of Stark County's finest judges. I worked for the Stark County Common Pleas Court under Judge Lee Sinclair, and I worked for the Municipal Court in Canton. And those judges have taught me to hold individuals who appear before them accountable and responsible while dispensing justice with fairness and compassion. As a judicial law clerk for Judge Lee Sinclair, we handled over thousands of cases. I researched those cases. I wrote those cases. I wrote jury instructions, and we handled jury trials for those cases that came before the court. Because for over 24 years, I continued to represent business owners, landlords, tenants, and individuals that appear before our community. And because I am also a business owner, I've had my private practice in Bellevue Village for over 24 years. And also because I am a landlord. Because I know, like you, we care about our future. We want what's best for our community. I have the experience, I have the dedication, and I have the knowledge to hold those that appear before the court accountable and responsible while dispensing justice with fairness and compassion. That is why I'm counting on you. So I'm counting on your vote to vote for me this November, Ginella for judge. Thank you.
Thank you. What I'd sort of like to do, number one, is remind you folks, if you need a note card to write a question, please stick your hand up, and we have them out here. We can get them up here. You can address them to a particular candidate, but whoever, if there's another opposing candidate, which it would be, they can get a chance to answer the question too. And also, it just occurred to me that we do have some people here that are running unopposed, and they may or may not have something to do yet tonight, so I'd like to introduce them. I don't know who's all here. The people that at least were notified was Judge Elam, I don't know if Judge is here. John Packlet is here. He's running for Massillon School Board. Monica Weber, Massillon School Board. Thomas Radel, I don't know, he's unable to attend. Marshall Marty, Ward 2 Council. Mike Gregg, Ward 3 Council. Jill Krieger, Ward 4. Megan Sturz, Ward 5. And Andrea Sconza is law director. She's unable to attend. And James Farrar was also unable to attend. Thanks for coming. I'd love to have you stick around and by all means get a chance, if you can, to talk to these folks. This may be the only chance you get to talk to them. So you're welcome to stick around and please talk to them after the program.
Dick, some folks in the back are having trouble hearing, so we want to make sure that everybody can hear. Is this mic loud enough? Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, how's that? Is that good? All right, so everybody stand close to the microphones, and maybe if you could get a little closer to your mic.
I didn't know I had a mic. How's that?
There you go, that could be the problem. Thank you.
All right, next up on the list here is Massillon Council Ward 6, and we're going just the way it was written up, no particular order. Michael Snee is the first one in order.
Good evening. Thank you for all our co-sponsors for hosting tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm 36 years old. I'm a safety manager for a Fortune 500 company. I moved to Massillon about 10 years ago with my wife, who is a Tuslaw school teacher, and we immediately started forming deep roots here. We had a son a year and a half ago, and now he's growing up here. So that is the reason why I chose to get involved and run. I want my son to grow up in a safe community with opportunities that is growing. So basically, I'm just going to talk about my platform. The roads, to me, are the #1 issue on the west side. Everybody I talk to, they want their roads fixed. I teach truck drivers for a living. I've worked on construction crews. I know roads. We are fixing our roads not in the way they should be fixed, in my opinion. Lincoln Park West is sinking into the ground, and the cars are bottoming out every time we go over it. I want better jobs in our area, and I mean better jobs as in career-oriented jobs. With career-oriented jobs, we are able to help the economy grow. We have economic development that will help fix a lot of these problems. As far as safety goes, when I'm going door to door, I see a lot of speeders going through these neighborhoods. It's a common point that's also brought up to me. If the speed limit is 25, I see them going 40, 45, 50, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on that. So I just wanted to announce that starting next week, I'm going to make 100 signs available. There's a new campaign that says, keep our kids alive, drive 25. Anybody that would like one of those signs, I'm going to post it on our Massillon community board on Facebook tonight. All you have to do is call me, and I would be glad to hand deliver it to you. This is not as easy as it looks. I'm not a great public speaker, so I'm a pretty down-to-earth guy. I'm pretty sure anybody that knows me will tell you that. I'm trying to be proactive in my campaign, and I want to get that message across, that we need to protect our kids that are out playing, that are going to school, and I think that's going to be an excellent way to do it. So thank you for having me. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Running the 6th Ward, now that I found a microphone, is Linda Litman. Is Litman? Please welcome her.
Okay, first of all, I want to make sure you can hear me. Am I close enough? Mr. Kuhn, am I close enough?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, thank you. I too want to thank the repository, the Independent, and you, Mr. Kuhn, for allowing us to come and tell our stories. I think it's so important for us to know, for the residents to know who the candidates are, who their council members are. I'm Linda Litman. I'm the 6th Ward Councilwoman. It has been an honor to serve you on Massillon Council for the past 3.5 years. I'm very proud to represent our West Side community. I'll take a step back and I tell you a little bit about myself. I live in Massillon, of course, on the West Side. I've lived in Massillon 36 of my 54 years. Since Joel has offered his age, I thought I should as well. I've been married to my husband for 29 years. We've raised our 4 children in Massillon and have 3 beautiful grandchildren. I'm committed to Massillon. I'm vested in this community, and specifically the 6th Ward. I believe the key to a successful council person is to first listen to the residents, putting the needs of the community first. I believe in open communication, and that was certainly one of the questions that the League of Women Voters asked. How do you communicate with your constituents? I ask them to call me anytime. I offer my personal cell phone, email address. I ask for their ideas, their suggestions. We talk about their concerns. My family and I have actually been going door to door recently as well. And we've been asking the residents, what is important to you? And this is what their answers have been to me. They want more attention to the roads. Obviously, there's a lot that has been done, but there's more to be done. They want to be assured that their tax dollars are being managed well and for the betterment of the city. They want honest information about projects and issues. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rhetoric on social media. They want a city to be proud of and that their children can come back to with their own families. All of these things I keep in mind when making decisions in my position. Let's work together to move our city forward. We cannot have a stagnant community. We must think of our seniors and the needs that they have in their aging generation, but also the next generation of Massillonians and what they want in a city. As the 6th Ward Councilwoman, I'm qualified, experienced, and dedicated to the city. I've been in banking and financial management for well over 30 years. My financial background assures you that I have the knowledge to be fiscally responsible with your tax dollars, as well as the $52 million budget that this city has. I've had a long history of community service, not within the last few years. I've been a Rotarian and a proud Rotarian. Our motto is service above self, and I'm wholeheartedly in favor of that. I ask for your vote on November 5th. Thank you very much.
Our next race is for Ward 2. And once again, going the list here is Jack Moore. Please welcome Mr. Moore.
Good evening, can everybody hear me? Okay, I'm Jack Moore. Basically, I'm just going to give you a little introduction due to pressing time. My history in Massillon, I moved here in 1993 and been here ever since. When I moved here, first job I had, I started working at Express Loop for Louis, and basically the longer I worked there, the more people I got to know, the more I enjoyed this community and made me want to stay. Eventually I moved on to Vendors, worked there for about 7 years. Met my wife, got married, and decided to get out of the restaurant bar business. I went to Bueller's in Giant Eagle as the beer wine manager, which led me to where I am today. Today I'm currently with House of the Rose, which everybody around town knows me as the Yingling guy, but we're actually a Budweiser distributor. Based out of Brecksville, we're number 6 Budweiser distributor in the country. Now that's covered, I'd say 80% of Stark County. The only areas I don't cover is Alliance, Louisville, and Kirkville. I do 140 accounts, which I get to talk to a lot of business owners and hear their concerns, talk to them about what they feel the city needs and how to move forward. Now, as a city council member, my plan is basically I'm a non-party candidate. I'm here to work with everybody on council. I've been fortunate enough, I've got to talk to several of these people behind me, and a lot of them feel the same way. You know, when I talk to them, their concern is we need a council that can work together and move forward. And that's what I want out of everything at the end. That's about it. I'm going to wrap it up. I'm probably going to be the only person not to use all their time, but I'm not much of a speech maker. But thank you for having me. And if you got any questions, I'll stick around and happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. No, if you got questions, put them on the card. That's what we're here for. We're not going to ask you afterward. Next up is Mr. Thieret. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Thieret. Thieret? Mr. Thieret, please welcome him.
Crickets. Good evening, Massillon. How about that? I'm about to lose my voice. Imagine that. Proposed candidate losing the voice. That's like a dream come true, isn't it? Anyway, thank you for having us here and all the folks that organized this. This is an awesome event. Over the past year now, my wife and I have organized a few town hall meetings similar to this, but smaller, in our home, and have come to some of the same conclusions. And the thrust of our having the meetings that we did have was to pick the brains of the folks that came, asking for their concerns, their ideas, potential solutions, not just gripes and complaints. Everybody has those, but okay, where are we going to go? How are we going to handle those things? We've been trying to get to the council meetings now for the last 3 meetings as a spectator, so I understand how things work. And I can see that working together is vitally important. My biggest concern is, especially as a Ward 2 councilman, is that our community, some of our neighborhoods are falling in disarray. And I really think that as individuals and as council people, we've been out there at the last several impact Massillons where groups of people get together and they go into a neighborhood, clean it up, paint it, fix it, do whatever needs to be done in the houses that are selected. I volunteered for Habitat for Humanity. I can't wait to find out what they're going to do in Ward 2. And when I retired from the fire department after 31 years, my wife and I said, you know, we're not going to sit around and do nothing. There's plenty to do here. And God has given us the legs and arms and legs to take care of that. So as long as we can do it, we're going to keep doing it. And as we've knocked on doors and met with people, we shared some concerns, and they shared their concerns. Several people we've actually been able to help, which has been not only gratifying to us, but it seems like it had made their day. So my phone numbers are out there, the emails are out there. Anytime, we're ready to go. Thank you very much, all of you who was involved with this, setting this up. This is fantastic. Go Massillon.
There's a third candidate, Dave Irwin. It's dark down here, sorry. He was unable to attend. Are we getting questions in from the audience? How are we doing?
Yeah.
We got some done? Oh, great. The next group that we're going to speak with is for council at large. And there's 5 candidates here. Nancy Halter is out of town, and I'm told that she gave something that's going to be read. If you would, please, I'd appreciate it now, if that's okay.
I can do that. I don't have the Nancy Halter placard to put up, so you're just going to have to picture. If you know Nancy, just picture her. It's probably an improvement by a lot. Dear Veronica, thank you for the invitation to the Independence Meet the Candidates Night. I am unable to join you as I am visiting my son in California. Could you please let the people know that? And could someone please read the following? I am running for council at large. I served the citizens as a councilman at large in the 1990s for 5 years. I then served the citizens of Ward 2 for 4 years in the 2000s. Therefore, I have 9 years' experience serving on council. I am humbly asking for your support as I run again. I am experienced, dedicated, a lifetime resident of Massillon, and if elected, I will work on code enforcement to rid the city of its eyesores. I have always supported our police officers and firefighters. I have always been readily available to our citizens and will continue to be. Thank you for your time. On November 5th, I ask for your vote. Nancy J. Halter.
Thank you. I don't think Nancy could have done any better. We also have another candidate that's it's Benjamin Slagle, and that person's out of town on a business trip, so apparently he couldn't make it. What we're going to do with the 5 folks that are here, arbitrarily we're going to go inverse alphabetical order. So given that, we're going to do Michael Slater first. If you'd welcome Michael Slater, please.
Good evening, Massillon. How are you? Rough crowd. Good evening. My name is Mike Slater, and I'm running for council at large for the city of Massillon. May I first take a moment to thank everyone here for attending, for without you, this would not be possible. I simply have one question. Where is Massillon? I repeat, where is Massillon? At one time I could tell you, but anymore I am beginning to wonder. Many events have happened and I find myself searching for Massillon. I can remember Massillon as a thriving town where everyone wanted to live and really meant it. Oh yes, I know that many of us choose Massillon, but does Massillon choose us? As I began this journey for council at large in April, I had the pleasure of meeting many nice families who simply wanted answers from their elected officials. Some living here most of their lives, and others new to Massillon and its culture, and for the most, they actually were happy, except for one thing, their feeling of not being represented. Neighborhoods in need of street and sidewalk repair, abandoned homes, demoralizing the property value, and the need for neighborhood watch programs. Many shared their concerns for the need of the downtown project, while others were upset about the vacant hospital and no clear plan for its future, and of course the need for the Reservoir Park to be somewhat a park again. As I contemplate on these and many other concerns, I began to find myself almost embarrassed to say this is my hometown. Growing up here in Massillon on the southeast side, My dad was a part of the steel mill industry and made a good living for Mom and all of us kids. Then as fate would have it, industry would actually leave. And we began to see lower wage jobs coming in to somewhat fill the void. Although they are good as far as some revenue for the city is concerned, many families cannot survive on the income, therefore forcing a drive to a different community for a better income, while all the while supporting a different school system. This ought not to be. We as a city, which includes our elected officials, who are not exempt, need to be proactive and seek out prospective businesses and entice them to choose this community. The downtown project, once again, is another story. If it's completed by its due date, I'll be shocked. The businesses downtown have suffered because of poor planning and add-on jobs to the project, and the list goes on. Many residents share their concern about the hospital and what will become of it. I wish at this time there was a clear picture, but at this time, there is none. With all this in mind, once again, Massillon is a great place to live. I lean on a quote by the late Mary Struple from the Massillon Board of Education. While on the board, she said, Massillon has always been the leader and continues to be the head of the game above all the others. If this is the case, then why are our elected officials so concerned about neighboring communities and what they are doing? Should we be focused on our own Massillon? At the beginning, I had mentioned, where is Massillon? Now my question is an action question. Would the real Massillon stand up? Would the real Massillon stand up? And this is why I'm running for council at large. And I urge all of you to get out and vote to Mike Slater, your next council at large. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slater. Next up, if I could read my handwriting, I think it's Ted Herncane. Ted?
Good evening. I'm running for Massillon City Council at large because I believe my background, experience, and commitment to our community provide a unique opportunity for service to lead Massillon into the future. Massillon is facing numerous challenges. We need a city council which is truly focused on these important challenges. We must target our resources on much-needed infrastructure improvements, better roads, and creating an environment where jobs and economic development may grow and flourish. My family has deep roots in the city of Massillon. As a graduate of Washington High School, I understand the strong sense of civic pride in our hometown. When I graduated college, I made the decision to return to Massillon and work towards improving our community while raising my family. A robust local economy with good jobs, providing good wages, is the key to a strong city. I know something about job creation because I have the needed and unique public and private sector economic development experience with the results to prove it. I have served Massillon as the Community Development Director, and in the private sector, led both the Massillon Chamber of Commerce and the Massillon Development Foundation. Real-world, practical experience in economic development is a critical qualification necessary to move our city forward. As a fifth-generation Massillonian, you can be assured I have a commitment to our city that is required to make the positive changes we need right now. Your concerns matter. And should I be chosen to serve, I will be your voice on City Council. As I've been meeting with residents all throughout Massillon, I have taken your concerns to heart. They are also my concerns. I will work tirelessly to ensure our government will live within its means as I focus on the basics: strong safety forces, good roads, private sector job growth, and a low tax rate. I appreciate your time this evening. I would appreciate your support on November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And as it turns out, I did screw up. I didn't go inverse like I had hoped. Next up is Paul Manson. Mr. Manson, please welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, I want to thank everybody for coming. I know these things aren't fun, but it's nice to see we have a lot of people that really want to know what's happening. How's that? Okay. I'll just give you a little information about myself. I'm a lifelong resident of Massillon. I was born and raised in Brookfield. I live on the west side, close to the middle school. graduated from Washington High School. I served an apprenticeship at Republic Steel. I had some classes at Stark State. As far as my qualifications, before I was a council person, I spent 4 years on the planning commission in Massillon, which I thought was very valuable, getting to understand what was going on in Massillon, the redevelopment of Massillon. I also have spent 16 years as a council at large. I've served on community development most of that time. I was on streets before that. Some of the other things that I feel that qualify me, I've spent 34 years as a trustee on the Washington High School Scholarship Fund. That's probably one of my favorite things that I've had to do over the years, that I've volunteered to do over the years. If you see some of the things in paper about me or see some of the things online, I don't spend a lot of time online, but I am very pro-development. I am pro-infrastructure. I'm not excited a lot about flower pots. I'd rather know that we have great roads, great catch basins. I'd like to know that our downtown, I have some complaints with that, but I think it's going just fine. I know it's a little behind. Sometimes those things happen, but it's very worthwhile what is going on down here. It's going to help the city a lot. My thing is out into the communities. We are not spending enough money out there on the streets that serve these neighborhoods out there. Myself, I've got a neighborhood that's got pretty decent streets, but we've had a lot of failures in our catch basins. I complain about that all the time. I've had a safety service director tell me that they didn't know if we would ever get caught up on all these things. That's not acceptable. We have to do that. I believe infrastructure sells your city. We have a great wastewater treatment plant that we just spent $30 million rebuilding. We can offer, we're ready for any industry that wants to move to Massillon. Massillon, in my opinion, is in a great spot for the next 25 years. I have kids and I have grandkids here in town, and I'll have to stop, but I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Next up is Ed Lewis. Please welcome him.
Good evening. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Also thank the League of Women Voters, the Repository of the Independent, and also the theater for hosting this event. Here you are. Standing too far away. And I wanted to thank the theater for hosting this event and allowing us all to come here today. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised, as many of these people have said, a graduate of Massillon, Washington High School in class of '98. In fact, my sophomore math teacher is Mrs. Istnick, and I get to see her every week, so that's always fun. Mrs. Istnick is my math teacher, is all I was trying to demonstrate there. What can I say? So I've been on council for 4 years as your council at large. I did serve 4 years as the Ward 6 councilman before that. Since I've been on council, I've been an advocate for putting community first. I believe that is what we must do first and foremost, look out for our neighbors and our neighborhoods. In doing so, I wanted to make sure that we have strong fiscal security in our city. When I first came on board, we were in fiscal emergency. Things weren't looking well. But now we are strong, we have carryovers, we're able to take on major projects like the fire station on the east side. We were able to take on that project without incurring any debt. That's an amazing feat for our city, and we should be proud of that feat. We've also been able to institute the road repavement program. We know that there's many streets out there that still need to be done. Thanks to the supporters and voters like you, we've been able to get the project started. We're putting millions of dollars every year right onto our streets to try to improve your neighborhoods and make your daily lives easier and better. Another thing I'm very proud of that I always want to talk to you about, and some of you that have heard me speak may be sick of me hearing me talk about it, is the home incentivization programs that I have been promoting throughout my candidacy and throughout my tenure. One of them being what we call HMRP, which is the Housing Market Reinvestment Program. This is a program that's been around for a few years now, but what we have done is we've been able to take money that banks have put into our community and use that money to give to new homeowners in our city to help them get started on the right foot. It'll pay off some of their early debt and help them pay off some of their early taxes and get them involved in Massillon. We want them to come to Massillon, raise their families just like we have. If you guys choose me on November 5th, I promise to continue to work on those initiatives, keeping us fiscally strong, incentivize housing, look after our safety services, and continue to work on improving our roads so that we can have a strong, safe community. Thank you. Please vote Ed Lewis November 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. And next up is Jason Harris. Mr. Harris, please welcome him.
Good evening, everybody. For those that don't know me, I took over for Mylan Chauvin after he passed. My name is Jason Harris. I'm the owner and president of A.J. Harris Tactical here in Massillon, Ohio. Before that, I worked as a law enforcement officer, also for the state of Ohio. And before that, I was in the Marines for 7 years. And then before that, I graduated from Washington High School in 1997. I was Obie the Tiger. Everybody sees Obie jumping around out there. Yep, that was me. I think the bedrock of a solid city is economic development. Economic development starts with an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur creates jobs. Politicians do not create jobs. They create an atmosphere in which entrepreneurs can do their thing. I'd like to create more jobs for the city. Other than that, my kids, 3 of them, Haley, Peyton, and Parker, all go to Washington High School. We all love to see the Tigers on Friday night, but there is so much more to the city of Massillon than just football. We have an amazing musical department at Massillon Washington High School, one that I was a part of for a very long time, and carried on that into the Marine Corps as a Marine bandsman. After 9/11, I focused more of my time in the Marine Corps onto the law enforcement side, and it was very, very touching to my heart to see a lot of what goes on with law enforcement. A lot of why I wanted to, a lot of the reason why I appreciated taking over Mylan's Police and Fire Committee on City Council. In closing, I think that I have shown over my lifetime that I have the skills, the leadership, the commitment, the service to be your City Council at large candidate. Please vote Jason Harris November 5th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. The next race is for Council President, and the first person is J. David Rezzy. Please welcome.
I'm wearing two ball caps tonight. I'm over here doing the camera work for Massillon Live. And my name is J. David Rezzy, and when I went to do Massillon Live, it was about 10 years ago. And when I did that, I did it because I love my town. And don't make any money, and it puts me down at City Council every Monday night for the last 10 years plus. Down there for the work sessions, down there for the regular meetings. That is such an opportunity to be able to see and to learn from so many great leaders from the past. So that was the reason I decided to make the decision to run this year. A couple of things I'd like to look at is an economic engagement plan, which would be the creation of a special team of community leaders comprised of members of our administration, city council, and business leaders. Now, the main responsibility of this team would be to aggressively market Massillon to businesses looking to expand from throughout the region and the state. The team would actively court these businesses and bring them to Massillon and kind of roll out the red carpet. A couple of other things I've noticed over the years covering City Council. This council is, it seems to need to be more proactive with the legislation. Now recently, it seems that a lot of our legislation is coming from the administration, which is a good thing. But I think it should be the other way around. council should be introducing more legislation based on the needs of the families and the wards that they serve. And I think one way to do that would be a quarterly town hall meeting between council members and you, the people of Massillon. So those are some of the things that I would like to see happen. And again, it's an honor to be here and to talk to you because the most important people are you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The second candidate is Claudette Istnick. Ms. Istnick, please welcome her.
Good evening. My name is Claudette Istnick. I'm a graduate of Timken Vocational High School, class of '67. Went to Kent State University. I graduated from Kent State in December of '71. January of '72, I was called on a Wednesday to interview in Massillon. Hired on Thursday. Called Wednesday, interviewed Thursday, hired on Friday, and started on Monday. I knew nothing about Massillon, never knew where Massillon was. I was very sheltered growing up, even though we were just 8 miles away. Taught there 35 years, and I grew to love Massillon wholeheartedly. My husband tells me if they cut me, I'd probably bleed orange. He said I'm more of a Massillon person than he is. It's my love for Massillon that got me to run. In 2000 to 2004, I served as Ward 3 council. When I retired, I started a driving school at the Massillon AAA. I've been there for 14 years, ever since I retired. I am a driving instructor, but I mostly run the office. And 4 years ago, I decided I am getting on in age. I am 69, and I thought it would be a good idea to get back involved in the community that I love so much. I was part of getting us out of fiscal emergency. We went to all the meetings. Since then, we are financially stable. We are working on our roads. We are doing many positive things in Massillon. And I ask for your vote so I can again be part of this. Thank you.
And our last campaigner is for Massillon Mayor.
Can someone pick up these questions?
The last race is for Massillon City Mayor, and the first one on the list is James Haavisto. I blew it the first time. Is that close? No, you're fine. All right. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Ms. Istnick. Good evening, everyone, and we'll bypass some of the usual cordialities for sake of time. I am James Haavisto. I'm a 17-year Massillon resident. Originally moved here in 1982 to manage at the age of 18 a Booth's Value King supermarket. Up on Wales Road, it is now gone, of course, but at 18 years old, I had the privilege of managing a staff of 40 people, which is a little bit unusual from what people have told me. But I have lived in this area. We did live in Canton, Southwest End for about 15 years at that time. Been back in Massillon for the last 16 to 17 years. We owned a home on the southeast of Massillon in University Village. Lived there and raised our kids there with my wife of 34 years, Susan. And my son is here tonight, JD. He's 33 years old. He's over at Sifrin, over at the bridge. He's a client there and teaches Bible study there. And I have two wonderful daughters who are not here, and they are working, which is what we raised them to do. My oldest daughter owns Jessica Danielle, the nail bar, and she employs a staff of 4 to 5 individuals and has helped single mothers that could not make a living on their own. They are now making vibrant livings, and they're financially stable in their families. My youngest daughter has just finished up a couple years in Japan teaching English, a couple years working at the State House. She's a big fan of mine, and she really encouraged me to enter politics and run for state representative last year. She did not want me to run for Massillon mayor. She wanted me to go for state rep, and I said, no, I believe the calling is here. I believe my skill set and my history can be used to a greater extent in Massillon City itself. So she's going to law school currently. She just started this year up in Akron. Now, why should you vote for me for Massillon mayor? First of all, I want to thank everyone now currently serving. And I'd like to thank the mayor. I'd like to thank the council because they have done the best with what they had to work with. Now, where do we go from here? Massillon has many problems, but all of us have plenty of solutions. Where do we go from here? Every one of our problems is based on one common item, and that is the fact that our economy has remained flat for decades in Massillon, Ohio. We've expanded our city, we've reduced our police force, we've expanded so many things, but until we get a hold of economic development, I have a history in sales. I happen to run a small business, which is now just a hot dog business, but I've sold to global companies, working for a company called Cytrain that used to be located right here in Massillon, Ohio. And I am proposing, we have a solid plan together for the service side of this venture, but I have a solid proposal, and that is for Massillon Mayor to become the salesman of the city. And we will go out, we'll find business, and we'll take care, and we'll build this economy, industry, entrepreneurs, and small business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haavisto. And then the last candidate is Kathy Catazaro-Perry. Please welcome her.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Massillon Independent and Canton Repository for sponsoring tonight's event. I'm honored to be here tonight to share with you the positive direction our city has taken. 8 years ago, I was honored to become mayor of this great city. Unfortunately, I began my term with only $416.79 and $2.6 million of unpaid bills. Since then, all the directors, the staff, and I have worked diligently to cut expenses, to make sacrifices, to turn Massillon around. Those early years, I can tell you, were extremely difficult, which led the city to being put into fiscal emergency, October 8, 2013. We continued on the path we had set, working hard to become financially stable. And in April 27, 2017, we were released from fiscal emergency. This was a very significant achievement because it showed that all of our hard work had paid off, and we can now stop managing in crisis mode and begin managing day-to-day operations. And although we started off in a disadvantaged position, we now have become financially stable, as many of the current council members have stated. We have a stabilization fund of $390,000 and a 5-year financial plan. We have reliable vehicles because we put in place a vehicle replacement program with vehicle maintenance as well. And our administration was the first to enact that. We are paving our roads. Do you realize that in the past 8 years, we were able to put down $10 million of pavement on our roads? And we replaced catch basins to the amount of $2.5 million. Emergency services will soon be back in our city as we work to bring Altman Massillon, an outstanding facility, to our community. We continue. Today, we work with Stark Economic Development Company as well as Massillon Development Foundation to bring new businesses and jobs to our community. We also work with the state to open up Millennium Boulevard to bring in E-Tank, a new business that was in Massillon that was needing more room. This includes a grant that we use to revitalize our downtown with our Imagine Massillon project. We placed 91 of our buildings that took a year and a half on the National Registry of Historic Places. So now the developers can access historic and federal tax credits. These and other projects are economic development tools to transform Massillon, both in our city as well as our downtown. This is a very exciting time for Massillon. I am proud of the work that we have accomplished together, and I ask for your vote on November 5th. Thank you.
I think that's everybody, so now we'll open it up for questions. I'll let our panel arm wrestle to see who's going to ask the first question.
Okay, well, I guess I guess I'll go first with a question that is actually for all of the council candidates, and it'll probably take me longer to ask the question than it will for you to answer it, and you can all answer at the same time. Even those in non-contested races, please answer this question. So council is scheduled to vote on Monday to raise council pay by 1.8%. I think council members make roughly $8,000 a year, and council president around $8,500. These are estimated figures. At 1.8%, that would mean a pay increase of about $150 a year. So just show of hands, among all council candidates, would you vote to approve the pay raise for city council, which would take effect in January of 2020? Thank you.
Did you, I'm certainly not an expert on that, but if you voted for it, does that mean you get it, or do you have to wait for the next term? I'm not sure how that works.
It's the next term.
Is that how it works? Okay. All right. Whoever's next up.
Mr. Haavisto, questioner requested a yes or no answer, but I will let you decide if you want to expound at all. But please answer yes or no. If elected mayor, is it an option for you to close Legends Golf Course?
No, it is not an option to close it. We have absolutely proposed privatizing, reducing the size to the size of the...
You know, we're stuck. I guess we need the mic for everybody.
No, we've never stated that we would close the Legends Golf Course, not once. We would look to privatize it if at all possible, if we could find a qualified buyer and achieve the right amount of money from it. Someone that has the investment amount to put a good clubhouse and party center in so they can use it for catering and actually keep a restaurant that's open. So when you finish your golf game, you can go get a burger and not have to run away from the golf course. So yes, we will look at every option that's on the table because we are not done with the financial situation of the city. The golf course, we have paid $500,000 per year continually, and we'll continue to do that for approximately 7 more years. We have subsidized golf for a minority of people, and that is not acceptable. I live in the southeast end. I've lived there for the last 17 years.
Time's up, sir.
The ideas have come from business people and avid golfers in the Legends, and we are working on a proposal for that, so that's our initial plan. Thank you.
Thank you. The other area from there is going to respond if she so desires. And it's 1 minute, is that right, folks?
Yes. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. We have worked to make the Legends profitable, and it is now profitable. With the Tamashanner Golf Course that is closed down, we added on 11 more leagues. And that's really our goal, is to make it profitable and actually help it to pay the debt. So above the operations, we move that money over to help pay for the debt. One thing that I actually was wanting to do this year is to add $100,000 or maybe more to go from the general fund to go towards that debt, so that the Parks and Rec are not paying all of that. And it really is unfair that they are paying all of that, but because of the financial position that we were in when I first arrived, there was no other option. And so what we'd like to do is slowly, gradually inch that up so that the general fund is at least paying half of that. So I thank you.
Thank you.
This is directed at the 2 judicial candidates. Can you please explain your experience as a magistrate and what that means for your ability to serve as a municipal court judge?
I'm not sure if the other person isn't a magistrate, or you have been a magistrate, is that right? Okay, fine.
Thank you. I'll try to talk slower. I'm used to in the morning. We have so many cases to get through every morning. We have so many cases every morning to get through that I talk very fast. So I'm going to try to slow down. Being a magistrate, I did Really everything that a judge can do in municipal court, I have the authority to do everything except 3 things. Number 1, I'm not allowed to perform wedding ceremony. No one can do that, so I can't marry anyone, plus I'm already married. Secondly, I cannot sign a search warrant. Only a sitting judge can sign a search warrant. A magistrate is not permitted to do that. And the third thing is I'm not permitted to hear jury trials unless both parties would agree to that. But there's no right to a jury trial in front of a magistrate. But everything other than that, I do everything that the judges do every morning. I do almost all of the arraignments for criminal and traffic matters. Every morning I handle traffic, OBI, we handle assault. We have the felonies at the beginning stage of the process, and then many times it goes over to the common pleas court. And as I said before, I handle civil matters, evictions, small claims. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I have the experience. So that's the answer to the question. Thank you.
As a magistrate and judicial law clerk for the Common Pleas Court handles cases of felony nature, dollar amounts of over $15,000, $25,000 and above, capital murder cases, cases that are heard in the municipal court, in the criminal matter, get bound over to the Common Pleas Court. Under Judge Lee Sinclair, we handle those type of cases, as well as handle the medical malpractices and criminal cases that require jail time of over 1 year. Thank you.
This question is directed to all of the council candidates. So anyone is open to answer it if you wish. We would probably need a short answer due to the number of people who might wish to answer. There's been much concern about the lack of an animal control officer in the city. Is there any chance the city budget can include such an officer to replace Officer Davis? We'll just start right here with Mr. Thieret. We'll go right down the line. Anybody who wants to answer that question?
I definitely would like to see that. In our neighborhood now, there's a lot of wild animals, including cats, dogs, raccoons, skunks, and a variety of other vermin that I'm not even sure what their species are, but the four-legged. Vicki did a wonderful job when she was there. She spent a lot of her own money. It's hard to find somebody like that, but I do believe it's an important part of our community. I think if we could get some funds between the city and or the county to incorporate in this, it's definitely worthwhile. We want to protect our kids. We don't need rabies or anything else like that going on. Also, keeping grass cut and things that homeowners can do themselves. It helps them out too. Report stray dogs and cats. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Need your name tag.
Yeah, yes. Yes, I'd support bringing back the animal controllers. We cut that job back when money was extremely tight here in town. But we need it. It's a needed thing, pardon me. Okay. It's a needed thing. I know myself, our neighborhood, we had a problem this year with a raccoon in the daytime roaming around. You know what you think right away, it's distemper or something. We had to have the police out about 3 different times and trying to track it down. I don't believe that's what a police officer is for. Our animal control was part-time. I think we could start out the same way. That could save you money on benefits and stuff like that, but I do think we need to start taking care of some of these things. Dogs, cats, and the wild animals that deal out there running around. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I am an animal lover, and I have several good friends that are animal lovers, and when that position went away, I know that there are good citizens here in the community that look after some of these creatures on their own accord and on their own dime, but I would support, should the budget provide for it, bringing back the animal control officer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I was the one, sorry. I was the one that actually brought up that idea in council. The idea is to, there's plenty of room still in the police budget. There's allocations for additional officers that haven't been filled yet. Do we have the money? Yes. Do we have the need? Absolutely. If you've been on social media, any of the local social media, Massillon Virtual Sounding Board, Massillon Community Board, there's a missing animal times 5 every day. We absolutely need an animal control officer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think Vicki Davis was very great with her job. She did an excellent job with what she did. She was priceless. With that being said, short and sweet, we need to reinstate that position back as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that is a position we need as a part-time position. I know my pup ever got out. She had her 8 years. She hasn't got loose yet, but I'd be a nervous wreck until somebody found her. So I have no problem taking part-time position out of the budget for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know if anyone knows, but that position is now absorbed through the sheriff's office. So what I would like to see is a thorough analysis with the sheriff in determining exactly what process needs to be gone through to determine what type of, or I guess I should say, how much time is needed and allocated for animal control. When I think of animal control, I do think of a part-time position, but I'd rather see a dually trained officer where they would be able to, in the times where there is not a need for an animal control officer during a shift or so forth, that they could also serve as an officer on the force and doing other jobs as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
As the other council people have said, of course, I do believe that we could use the animal control officer back in Massillon now that we're more fiscally sound. Just to give you some numbers to put behind it, I believe our police force now is mandated or attempting to be mandated at 48 officer level. We only average about 44 as they attempt to get to that full 48. So we do have room within the salary line item for the police department to be able to add that officer. I agree with Ms. Litman in the sense that we could do a dual officer position where the person could still work patrol and possibly do things of that nature, but also take care of our needs for any pests or loose animals that we have. And then, of course, we have to buy a van and some other equipment, but I do believe the budget holds for it.
So, a few weeks ago in council, there was a woman who came, and from time to time, people do show up with concerns around the city. And she expressed how there were 2 dogs of her neighbors that got loose, and they keep repeatedly getting loose, and they mauled her cats. In my neighborhood, I know there are feral cats running around. I live in Mayflower Village, and there's absolutely on social media a very vocal presence that we do need an animal control officer. While I would support Stark County supplying that officer, if we have, anytime you have, time's always a key factor in any kind of situation when it comes to emergency services. So if we have a Massillon officer who is able to respond, I think that's going to be quicker and better for our community. As well as we have looked at the budget, and there is room in the budget to have one. So yeah, absolutely, we do need an animal control officer. Thank you.
Michael, you have been scaled because this next question is for council and also the mayors, mayoral candidates, but we could just maybe start at that end and work our way back this way. It's 2 questions. They both relate to the same issue. Our Rezzy was an asset any city would love to have. We can still have 5 acres of 10 feet of water. Our watershed gives us 17 square miles of clean water. Will you support giving us back our Rezzy? And the second question, what do you plan to do with the Rezzy? So it's essentially the same question. Mayor, want to go first?
Actually, don't need notes for this. I know this topic inside and out. So the reservoir was a 2-decade-old problem. I don't know if everyone understands that. When I came into office, we received a letter from ODNR, and we applied for a grant to attack the Rezzy problem. And we were not successful in getting that grant. Now, remember my earlier comments, we were $2.6 million of unpaid bills and $400 in the checkbook. So we didn't have funds to move forward to fix the Rezzy. I will tell you that someone made a call to ODNR and gave them a heads up that this problem was lingering. And so they called us and immediately said, you must drop it, in which we did do that. And we did do a survey, but the survey was not taken by many people. So we had 3 options. We couldn't choose any of those options. So what we did was comply with ODNR's recommendations. The Park and Rec Board is an autonomous board. They have the opportunity to do anything they would like to do with the reservoir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the reservoir, another hot topic issue of Massillon. The government is not controlled by anybody but the people. So most of the people that I've talked to out on the west side express that they do want the reservoir restored. So I do believe that we need to do something other than let it sit there and turn into a swamp, which it already has. Some have nicknamed it the ditch even, and when it gets to that point where mosquitoes are breeding, something's got to be done. So we have options. That's one of the reasons why my wife and I created a social group called the Massillon Community Board, so we could communicate with one another and the government to come to conclusions. So hopefully in the future we will exercise that to get a better response. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
In regards to what we've known as the reservoir, I think most people would agree they would love to see a flourishing park where we can go and enjoy our time. I wouldn't mind seeing a body of water return there, but we would have to consider all the financial implications. A few years ago, returning it with the dam and everything else that we once had, putting it back under the purview of ODNR and other state organizations would have costed us close to $5 million. At that time, we were not in a position that we could do that, and we had to make sure we met with the regulations that the state was giving us. So we took measures to get within compliance, and that's where we currently stand. But the park board, as the mayor has stated, is an autonomous board. They make the decisions on what would happen with the parks, and we would assist them in funding it if need be. But I would like to explore body of water, but possibly, probably not to what it once was when we were all growing up. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I do think that the Rezzy is an important part of our city. However, I'm not sure if everyone was privy to the information that the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and that's the ODNR that they're referring to, and Ohio Soil and Water said to us. They came to not only council, but I believe we had even some executive sessions with them as well. We were told that in order for any grants to be available for the Rezzy, it must be a free-flowing stream. And that's what we have been required to do up to this point, is to make it a free-flowing stream. I do think that once we've accomplished that there are grant dollars to be had. So what I would like to see is more attention given to our parks in general, certainly our west side parks, which would be Lincoln Park, Wampler Park, but also our reservoir, that we can apply for additional grant dollars that may assist us with beautifying the Rezzy as well as the other parks. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, when it comes to the Rezzy, I would like to see a body of water there. I'm never going to be able to restore it back to the waterfall and everything. With the amount of money it costs, I just can't see doing that in the budget. But I think we could put a nice body of water there, do a little fishing, and have a nice place that people can spend time with their family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Born and raised in Massillon, Ohio. Family spent a lot of time at the reservoir. I am in favor of restoring the reservoir. Probably won't be back to where it was, but we'll take what we can get. As I'm your next elected council at large, I am in favor of doing something with the reservoir besides what we have right now. Thank you.
Before they yell at me for not talking into the microphone. Yes, I believe that something does need to be done with the reservoir. I think we need to do a lot of thinking and come up with a few more options than just 3. I believe there are a lot of dollars out there to be had, not only government grant dollars, but private business dollars. We need to think about that and how we incorporate all of those things in fixing and bringing back the Rezzy to not only what it was, but what it should be today. Thank you.
If you were a Massillon resident in 1995 and voted, you chose to have a tax specifically for parks. And each one of you that voted for that, part of that was the promise that we would take care of the Rezzy and the dam and the maintenance. Now, it's a little disingenuous to keep on saying that the ODNR demanded. No, the ODNR notified, gave us almost 3 decades, at least 2 decades to deal with it, and 2 administrations and council ignored that over time. I'm sorry, but those are the facts. You paid for the Rezzy, you deserve a body of water back in there. We do not have to go back under ODNR. It can be a smaller body of water, but we want to restore it as close as possible to the original reservoir. Yes, I got engaged there to my wife on the little bridge before, when you used to be able to drive through the water in 1985, but that's not it. The fact is, you have paid for that reservoir, you have paid for that pond, and that to be the gold gem, and we need to restore the reservoir as close as we can. Thank you.
I was recently asked my thoughts on the reservoir, and I told the gentleman that I would like to see the reservoir restored to as close as possible to its former glory. He then asked, well, that's going to cost a lot of money. And I said, yes, it is. In my earlier statements, I talked about focus and priorities. If we look back over the last 12 or 15 months at a $200,000 a month expenditure for a building that used to be a hospital with no real plan, and we took that money and applied it to something like the reservoir, we would certainly have a lot more to show for our dollars. We have 2 very good members of the state legislature. We should also engage them while they're still around to see if there's any additional capital improvement funding from the state of Ohio. Thank you.
The reservoir is a really tough situation. I'm not going to blame anybody, but ODNR came in and told us that we had to reduce that thing by 4 feet. They gave us very little time to do that. Also, to get out of the picture, to get them out of the picture, they required us to take even 1 more level off after that. To restore to what it was, I really think we would have a really tough time doing that, because we would be back dealing with ODNR again. And if you see what is going on around the state, there are more dams being removed than built or even repaired. There are many of them being taken out. So, as much as I hate to see it, all we can do is turn that into a park. Maybe somewhere along the way somebody can come up with an idea how to create a small pond behind there. But to take it back to what it was, I don't think is going to happen.
When we voted to pass that tax for the parks in Massillon, that parks is plural. Reservoir is one of the parks. And to spend $10 million, there's some of the figures when they were originally proposing to restore it, not only was it a one-time first-year investment of millions of dollars, but every year after that for the inspections and the certifications for the dam, the repair. And I hate to say it, but for the most part, right now, it's just a goose toilet. You know? It's hard to imagine spending that kind of money. Seriously. I mean, honestly, my kids, my grandkids, you know, I've been going down there for decades, and we enjoy it, but you can't walk down there anymore. So besides fixing it, we gotta fix it. So how are you gonna do that? It's not gonna be cheap. All the parks deserve some attention, not just one. Thank you.
Mentioned Duncan Plaza, mentioned the hospital, lots of questions about economic development, so we would encourage anybody to talk to the specific ward candidates, council at large, or mayors in a different form to get the specific question answered that you raised. We are going to ask 2 more questions that involve 2 people each. First, for our judicial candidates, Mr. Fichter, Mr. Ginella, can you please tell us how many cases you personally and directly have presided over?
Whoever wants to go first.
In my private practice, I've handled cases, but also in the common pleas court under Judge Sinclair. I have handled over 70 cases of different varieties. In the private practice sector, I've been practicing for 24 years. I've had over 90 jury trials at all different levels as well. Thank you.
I hate to say I don't know, but I honestly don't know. I know that every day that I'm on the bench, I preside over between 20 and 45 cases a day. Now, those aren't all trials, but literally I preside over 90 cases in 3 days. I know that my literature says I presided over 70,000 cases because that's what the statistics show. Since that was prepared, I'm sure I presided over another 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 cases. I don't know, but it's in the thousands, and it's an awful lot. That's all. And I would like to say one more thing. I just thought of this, but I've been running to be a judge for the last 9 months, but I've been preparing to be a judge for 60 years, and I have experience. I don't know the answer to the thousands of cases, but 70, 80, 90, 1,000, I don't know if there's a difference. Thank you.
We're going to finish with a question to the mayor and her opponent. Too many college graduates are leaving the area, not feeling that there's something here for them, resulting in what many people call brain drain. What are you doing, Ms. Mayor, or what would you do, Mr. Haavisto, to work with an economic director to bring economic development to the area and attract high-paying jobs?
Again, as I stated, the number one thing I will do as mayor, first of all, the service side of the city is a big project, and I have spoke with many candidates of gentlemen that are ready to take and ladies that are ready to take that job. And we will first thing we'll do so we can concentrate on economic development, we would turn over the safety service director, would go to Joe Herrick, retired Massillon police officer. It was my pleasure to get to know him, and he has come to the top of our list for safety service director. But directly, we would go out and recruit companies, and it is true, my daughter herself did not move back to Massillon, but ended up going to Columbus to find a job when she came back from Japan. She is educated from the University of Mount Union. So we're going to go out, work with a new new development person, and we're going to recruit companies. We're going to encourage entrepreneurship, which can be just as profitable. And we can also, not just manufacture, but we have to begin to focus on IT-type jobs. We had IT jobs here at one time, and they have left our city and gone to Belden Village, and that's a shame because we didn't know what to do with them.
because ever since I became the mayor, we've been working on economic development. The first year I was in office, we visited 52 of our businesses to ask them to stay here and retain them in our city. Not only did we do that, but we asked them, how can we help you to grow? So we've been working on economic development for the entire time that I've been here. This sheet that I have right here, from 2012 until now, and this is just a quick list, 86 new businesses to Massillon. Out of those, the past 8 years, we gave out $266,000 to the businesses to help them to grow or to come to Massillon. I sit on the Strengthening Start Governance Board. I'm working to help retain our young people to this community. I have 6 children and 5 grandchildren. It's very important that we provide jobs for each one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time?
I think we're out of time,
Right.
but we want to thank everyone for coming tonight. You have asked some great questions. I wish we could have gotten to all of them, and you've been great. Thank you very much. Drive safely home. Look for coverage in tomorrow's Independent and on IndyOnline.com tonight, and also in tomorrow's Repository and on CantonRep.com. We'll have video, we'll have photos, and of course full coverage. And thank you to the League of Women Voters of the Canton area.
We want to thank the panel too. We appreciate your help.